which is World Water Day, and this year's World Water Day theme is wastewater. It is in support of SDG 6 Target 3 on improving water quality and reducing treating and reusing wastewater. Globally, the vast majority of all wastewater from our home cities, industry and agriculture flows back to nature without being treated or reused, polluting drinking and basin and irrigation, as well as losing valuable nutrients and other recoverable materials. According to the UN, reducing and safely treating and reusing wastewater, for example, in agriculture and aquaculture, protects workers, farmers and consumers, and promotes food security, health and well-being. So we have some more on World Water Day and what wastewater can be used for. But first, let's concentrate on pollutants of water bodies and by humans. And first, we have domestic sewage and then industrial wastewater. So for domestic, what we use water at home for, industrial wastewater, that's for industries and companies, and what they also use the water for agricultural waste and runoff. Global warming, which has become a global concern as well. Plastic waste disposal, as well as a major problem in our country, which is being looked at by government, by stakeholders, by industry players, and that is galamsey. Now let's look at wastewater, which is the theme for this year's World Water Day. And less than 10% of wastewater in Ghana is treated. Only 10%, that's less than 10% of wastewater in Ghana is treated, unlike some countries where they're well developed and they make good use of wastewater. And total amount of grey and black wastewater produced in urban Ghana is approximately 280 million cubic meters, and Ghana has low coverage of wastewater and fecal sludge treatment, and the national average for sewage is as low as 4.5% in our country. And let's still focus on wastewater. Only 5 out of 216 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in Ghana have wastewater treatment plants, and 2 municipal and 3 metropolitan assemblies have wastewater and fecal sludge treatment plants in our country, Ghana. Hoa and Sherman Municipal Assemblies, Tamale, Accra and Kumasi Metropolitan Assemblies as well. And my colleague Catherine Frimpoma will be joining us live by program organized by Water Resources to give us some more updates on what's being done as part of the World Water Day, which has the theme wastewater. We're looking at how best we can treat our wastewater, what we can use wastewater for, and how beneficial wastewater can be for our country, Ghana. And access to water. More than 40% of Ghana's population lack access to safe water. About 80% of Ghana's urban population have access to safe drinking water, and 50% of rural population in Ghana rely on unsafe water resources. And this again is a concern for our country. And the water resources in Ghana, the Volta River System Basin, consisting of Oti, we have Poo, we have Sena from Plain Rivers, as well as the White and Black Water Rivers, and that's of southwestern river system watersheds. We have Tano, we have Ankobra, we have Pra Rivers, which covers 22% of Ghana, and coastal river system watersheds, which comprises of Ayensu and Densu and some others. So we will be joining Catherine Frimpoma, my colleague, who has some more updates on World Water Day.
Water Commission plus other stakeholders, and they have been talking about the theme for this year, water and wastewater. So I have with me the Chief Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Wash at UNICEF, Mr. David Duncan, who has been speaking on the need for sustainable ways of making good use of wastewater as we even try to achieve the sustainable development goals. So Duncan, the various researches that you have done at UNICEF, what has been some of the main challenges as to the access to water, especially in rural areas in Africa?
From much of the research that's been done in terms of access to water, in Ghana in particular, we're actually getting reasonably good access. We're struggling to maintain it. Some work that's been done shows that only about 70% of our rural water supplies are actually operating at the levels that we need them to be operating at. So that sustainability has been a real issue, and when we've had breakdown of systems, often people are not quite sure how to go about maintaining it or fixing it. So we're getting reasonably good coverage, but we're really struggling to maintain that.
So what's the way forward as the whole world struggles to ensure water security?
Okay, going forward, it's really important that we improve our ways of actually connecting communities with the people who can provide them with the support they need. The artisans, the suppliers of things, so that when things do break down, they can be fixed very quickly. If things are not working perfectly, again, they can be fixed very quickly. Those very simple things, connecting people up, make a huge difference. And that, for us, is something that's going to be very important in maintaining water supplies in Ghana.
And so you mentioned how UNICEF was going to help Ghana in achieving this target.
UNICEF has been working with some of the other partners as well in looking at what are the most sustainable ways that we can establish water systems. We've struggled, for example, getting communities to have to manage everything themselves. So we're looking at how can the private sector help in doing that, either in supplying or in actually establishing, putting in place people who can manage the systems for the communities. And then making sure that, as I was saying earlier, when we have some challenges, people are able to connect very rapidly to those that can fix their problems.
Thank you very much. And that was David Duncan, who is the Chief Water, Sanitation and Hygiene at UNICEF. We are also trying to get Dr. Osman Ansah-Sarri, who is the Director of Water Research at the CSIR, who has been speaking about the need for using science and technology for sustainable water reservation in the country. So he has been addressing the media. Let me also tap into it, and then after that we can explore further with him.
It means that we should be able to do that. But thank you.
Yes, Dr. Duncan, Dr. Ansah-Sarri, yes, you spoke earlier about sustainable ways of managing water, especially wastewater in the country. Where do we stand currently as a country in that regard?
Yes, at the moment, unfortunately, as far as sanitation, which wastewater falls under, we are only 14%. And access to drinking water, we are around 60-70%. That one is a bit better because you see most of the focus and the way you see the West is access to, so they sink boreholes and so at least we can count the number of people who have access. And we're asked to whether that water is safe, and this is a different thing. We'll talk about that one later. But sanitation is a challenge. And we all have to get our minds renewed and address the sanitation challenge. I told him that I was personally impressed when Action, as a church, they were looking at the number of people who were visiting their loos and all those. This is a big church. They have thousands of people, and they decided to put instead of having septic tanks, always or normally have soakaways. And these soakaways have effect on our groundwater. You can live in estates, especially if you live in estates, you realize that people living in estates are not able to sink boreholes. They are not able to dig hand one. Will depend on the head and where the terrain. If you dig a well, you'll be drinking somebody's wastewater. That technically that it depends. Some of the borehole can go deep, and there are fractures and this and that can filter and can let you. But it's a bit risky. Depending on how they seal a certain in which water is said, you have the technology to do that. We can seal up to a certain depth, so that the wastewater, even if it's there, cannot penetrate, and then we can get to a deeper aquifer. But this is all based on science and technology. We have the technical know-how. You see that they mentioned Water Research Institute monitoring the wastewater for them. We did it in Ghana here. We did not invite any white man. Their engineer, he's a reverend minister, but I tell you, he knows a lot about wastewater. So I was asking the bishop, I said, where did you train this? He said, oh, he has that background, and then he's adding the word of God, preaching the word of God. So we have the men. let us use them. Let us get our minds renewed and let us approach issues in such a way that will solve our problems without, most of the time, when we think of, you see, at the moment, when the concept of one village, one dam came, some people have started looking outside. They say Israelis, they say this, but they have never even bothered to come to water research.
Doctor, domestically, because we also use a lot of water in our homes. Yes. Domestically, how can we make use of some of these wastewater that we generate in our houses?
I personally think that, you see, we have communities. And we have a definition, according to Community Water and Sanitation, there's a definition for communities and then villages and those things. What we have to, you have to start in a small way. Communities can come together. You see, elsewhere, Europe and those things, they have what we call sewer system. The wastewater, instead of having, septic tank, dotted all over the place, polluting our groundwater, we can link these wastewater and then get to one treatment plant that the community can. As for water treatment, some communities are now able to sink borehole and then they sell it. So we have now private people entering into that. We can do same for wastewater so that communities will be linked and they can have simple treatment. The man is here. There is a reverend minister. You can consult him. You see, if you go to, it's even like a tourist attraction, the way he's designed the place. So he can come and the community can consult him, and there are other engineers too. You can even have some at water research who will design this for you, and then the community can start using it. No, have you heard about Apollonia project? It is CSR Industrial Research Institute. They have built a lot of digesters, biogas digesters for a lot of this, and they are still into that. I think they built one for Central University and some other. So that is the research they do, Industrial Research Institute. As for Water Research Institute of CSR, we will monitor and tell you whether it is meeting effluent standards, whether the water that you are treating. And this one monitored, and they're always getting 70 as against the standard, especially COD. Standard is 250. That's set by EPA. So these are the things that we should. I don't think we should wait for the government, or the government should give communities money. Like a church, they were able to contribute and do it on their own. Community tools can look at these things, and by so doing, gradually we're solving the problem. When, they tell you that, you see, whatever we have starts with the family, then to the community, from the community to the district to the regions, and then the nation. So we can go that way, and then gradually get some of these challenges. Now we all talk about it, we all look at it, but no one is taking the step. But I said it in my closing remarks that this wastewater has got a lot of, if managed well, a lot of benefits. And so we should be able to do that, because we think that now we own it. Rather, it's not for our generation. We borrowed it from our children and our children's children. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that was Dr. Osman Ansari, who is the director of the water research at the CSIR, telling us about sustainable ways to reuse wastewater